Imagine walking into a restaurant where you're fined for laughing too loudly. The soup must be stirred counterclockwise only, and chefs communicate through color-coded spoons instead of words. Sounds insane? Welcome to the bizarre side of dining, where kitchens become kingdoms of absurdity, and every rule feels like it came from another dimension. From secret ingredient codes to forks that must face east, today we're diving into 50 absurd restaurant, food, and kitchen rules that feel completely unreal. You'll never see dinner the same way again. In Tokyo's oldest sushi bar, customers are forbidden to speak while eating. Even a whisper can get you politely escorted out. The chef believes sound corrupts flavor vibrations. Each bite must be consumed in meditative silence so your tongue can hear the sea. Locals claim the sushi actually tastes saltier when the room is completely still. Proof, they say, that food itself listens. In Naples, a restaurant named Trattoria del Silenzio leaves one table permanently set for invisible guests. No one is ever allowed to sit there. Legend says it's reserved for spirits of past chefs who died in the kitchen fire of 1923. Every night, waiters pour wine for ghosts, and by morning, the glasses are half empty. Management never explains. At a sacred vegetarian restaurant in Varanasi, patrons must begin their meal with dessert and end with pickles. The owner says reversing taste order confuses karma and keeps greed from attaching to sweetness. Locals swear this odd ritual brings emotional balance. Guests often leave feeling strangely calm, as if the meal itself has rewritten their memories. In a small Paris bistro, there are no menus. Diners must describe their emotions instead of dishes. Je suis nostalgique, and the chef serves something that matches your feeling. Sadness might bring blue cheese soufflé, joy, a glowing lemon tart. No prices are shown, you pay based on how satisfied your soul feels afterward. In a secretive Nevada diner, employees must cook in near darkness under flickering red lights. The owner claims fear sharpens the senses. Orders are whispered through static-filled radios. Patrons never see the chefs, only shadowy hands passing plates through sliding panels. The food tastes surprisingly good, but nobody eats there twice. In Seoul, one restaurant only serves meals to those ready to confess something. Before your dish arrives, you must publicly apologize to anyone you've wronged. The chef claims guilt alters taste receptors, making food purer. Strangers often end up crying together while eating kimchi pancakes. Regulars call it therapy disguised as dinner. At a remote eatery near Vic, diners must lick a block of glacial ice before their first bite. It's meant to introduce your tongue to nature's temperature. Refuse and you're not served. Some swear they can taste the volcanoes trapped inside that ancient ice, tiny frozen histories melting onto their tongues. In Cairo's oldest desert cafe, each table has a tiny bowl of clean sand used as spice. Patrons sprinkle a pinch over their hummus or lamb. It's believed to connect eaters with the earth's eternal endurance. Foreigners gag, locals smile. It's not about taste, they say, but memory of dust, struggle, and time. In Chengdu, a hidden noodle shop requires diners to shout their order into an empty bronze bowl. The sound echoes back distorted, and whatever word it returns decides your dish. Shout beef, the echo might say tofu. You must accept what destiny serves. The cook believes the bowl translates human desire into fate. In Oaxaca, one candlelit cantina allows eating only during power outages. No electricity, no talking, just flickering shadows and ancient Mayan recipes whispered from memory. Patrons claim the darkness changes flavor. Beans taste older. Tortillas seem holy. When the lights return, service stops. You leave with a full stomach and haunting quiet in your chest. In a remote monastery cafe in Bhutan, no meal is served until someone shares a personal failure. The monks believe food enters easier through humility. Diners confess mistakes aloud, and only then rice bowls appear. The room fills with laughter, guilt, and forgiveness. Tourists call it uncomfortable, locals call it cleansing. Some claim the tea afterward tastes sweeter, like the taste of release. In a tiny village in Greece, there's a seaside tavern where the cook refuses to salt his dishes. Instead, diners must cry into their plates. Tears, he says, are the most honest seasoning. Couples often argue before eating, ensuring enough salt for flavor. It's strange, tragic, and somehow deeply human. Love and grief feeding the same appetite. In a Bavarian forest restaurant, chairs are chained to the floor. Guests can't move them an inch. The owner insists that stillness keeps the aroma intact. Even the waiters glide silently, their shoes wrapped in cloth. Meals arrive steaming, scents swirling through air that nobody dares disturb. It's dining as obedience, fragrant, disciplined, and eerie. In Morocco's blue city of Chefchaouen, a tiny restaurant forbids eating with your dominant hand. Let the ego rest, the chef says. You must use the weaker one, fumbling, spilling, learning humility. Locals say it reawakens gratitude for the simple act of holding food. Tourists find it frustrating. Spiritual diners call it transcendent. In a hidden New Orleans speakeasy, every plate must be eaten to jazz tempo. Drummers watch diners closely, chew too slow, and they speed up the beat. The chef calls it rhythmic digestion therapy. People laugh, choke, and sweat trying to keep pace. Some say it's the most alive they've ever felt while eating gumbo. In a mountain cabin restaurant in Switzerland, diners must eat blindfolded. The chef wants them to taste with memory. Each bite feels like guessing a dream. Textures shift, flavors trick your mind. Many cry, recalling childhood meals they forgot existed. When the blindfolds come off, nobody speaks for a while. Silence tastes like nostalgia. In Bangkok, there's a street cafe where you must order without pointing or speaking. You communicate by drawing symbols on napkins. The chef believes words dull flavor. Mistakes are common, dessert before dinner, chili instead of soup, but somehow every accidental order fits the mood perfectly. It's chaos that always finds its own rhythm. In a haunted Scottish inn, guests dine beside empty chairs labeled with names of people who died there centuries ago. Each course represents one life: bread for the farmer, stew for the widow, whiskey for the soldier. Eating feels like communion with ghosts. Locals say if the candle flickers, someone remembered you. In Kenya's Rift Valley, a tiny tea house serves one rule: no sugar allowed until you tell a story. Sweetness must be earned through sharing. Travelers trade tales of love, loss, and madness just to sip chai. The old owner listens quietly and says, "Now your words are sweet enough." Every cup carries warmth and confession. In Turkey's Cappadocia caves, there's a restaurant that cooks only with moonlight. No artificial lamps, no stoves, just slow-prepared meals under lunar glow. Dishes taste oddly cool, metallic and tender, as if marinated in time itself. Locals say the moonlight feeds the forgotten hunger. Tourists describe it as dreamlike dining between earth and eternity. In Transylvania, there's a tavern where diners must carve their own plates out of raw wood before eating. It's a test of patience. No carving, no food. The chef claims it teaches respect for the vessel of hunger. Locals carve symbols into their dishes, believing flavor seeps through intention. Tourists find it exhausting, but everyone agrees. The food tastes alive, like it knows it's being eaten. In a secret Moscow cafe, forks are banned entirely. Guests eat everything with tiny paintbrushes. Food is art, says the owner, so taste it like a painter. Soup must be painted onto your tongue, one stroke at a time. It's slow, messy, absurd, and strangely intimate. Some call it ridiculous, others revolutionary. In a monastery kitchen in Tibet, only one ingredient per meal is allowed to make a sound while cooking. If the rice crackles, the butter must stay silent. The rule honors the balance of chaos and calm. Meals emerge eerily perfect, quiet, fragrant, and humbling. Monks claim the sound alone seasons the soul. In Argentina, a mountain grill forbids sitting. Everyone must eat standing in a circle facing the wind. The air, says the grill master, is the final ingredient. The beef smokes, the wind howls, and diners' eyes water from smoke in awe. Locals call it the meal of endurance, a feast against nature, not with it. In Venice, a restaurant built on the canal demands every guest drop a coin into the water before eating. It's not payment, it's an offering. The owner says the tide remembers generosity. Each splash echoes like a blessing beneath the tables. Fishermen swear the water glows faintly on nights when the rich dine there. In a Peruvian jungle lodge, every meal starts with a shot of fermented rainwater collected during storms. The chef calls it liquid ancestry. Locals believe it binds the drinker to the forest's memory. The flavor is sour, electric, and alive, like thunder bottled in glass. Tourists either gag or cry. Both reactions are considered sacred. In a hidden ramen bar in Osaka, diners must slurp in synchronized rhythm. A bell chimes every few seconds, one slurp per ring. Anyone breaking rhythm pauses the entire restaurant. It's culinary discipline disguised as chaos. Locals say the sound of hundreds slurping in unison awakens the dragon of steam. In Jerusalem's Old Market, a bread stall enforces a sacred rule. Break bread only with your left hand. The right must remain open, symbolizing giving. Those who forget are served burnt loaves as spiritual reminders. The baker smiles, saying, "Even mistakes feed the divine." Pilgrims leave feeling both guilty and blessed. In Finland, there's a lakeside diner where meals are served floating on wooden boards over water. Diners must pull them in with ropes. If the board drifts away, you lose your meal. Patience tax, they call it. Locals joke it teaches hunger discipline. Tourists panic. Finns laugh, it's their favorite sport disguised as dinner. In Brazil's Amazon basin, a village restaurant uses no plates. Food is served directly on giant leaves, still warm from sunlight. The chef insists the leaf's life transfers spirit to the eater. Each dish tastes wild, breathing, and ancient. When you finish, you fold the leaf and toss it into the river, your gratitude carried away by the current. In a dim tavern in Romania, diners must eat in complete silence while a violinist plays one continuous note throughout the meal. If the note breaks, everyone must stop eating immediately. The chef says the sound holds the flavor hostage. Guests eat nervously, listening for the faintest quiver. When the final bite aligns with the note's end, applause erupts. Part relief, part ritual. In an underground restaurant in Prague, each dish is served with a mirror. You must look at your reflection before tasting. So you confront the eater, not just the eaten, the chef says. Some diners can't take a second bite after seeing themselves chew. Others call it a spiritual awakening disguised as supper. In a monastery kitchen deep in Sri Lanka, cooks follow a vow of scent. They're forbidden to smell their own food. Nostrils must be covered with sandalwood cloths while cooking. Only the humble deserve aroma, their elder says. The result is divine meals made by chefs who've never tasted or smelled them. Devotion seasoned with ignorance. In Norway's far north, there's a seafood hut where guests must eat barefoot on ice. It's believed that the shock wakes the ancestral hunger. The first bite feels like fire meeting frost. Locals say the pain sharpens flavor. Tourists can't tell if they're shivering from cold or reverence. In Spain's Basque country, a chef forbids knives completely. Every dish must be torn, cracked, or broken by hand. He calls it primitive intimacy. Bread rips, shellfish crack, sauce drips between fingers. Messy, raw, unapologetic. Guests leave smelling of salt and garlic, baptized in flavor and chaos. In Ethiopia, one cafe employs no servers. Diners must serve one another. No one eats until everyone has a plate. Hospitality is digestion, says the founder. Meals begin awkwardly, end in laughter. Strangers feed strangers. By dessert, everyone feels related. The rule sounds simple, but its warmth lingers long after the injera is gone. In Germany, there's a bakery that locks its door after every new customer enters. No one leaves until everyone finishes eating. The baker says it creates community through captivity. Inside, people share stories, sing, and sometimes argue over crumbs. When the door finally opens, strangers walk out as companions. In Cambodia's floating villages, one cafe has a rule. If your food falls into the water, you must dive to retrieve it. Locals say it teaches respect for what you waste. Tourists squeal, villagers cheer. The owner laughs. No meal without movement. Even clumsy guests leave remembering every slippery lesson. In a remote Irish pub, drinks are poured only for those who make a toast to someone dead. Every sip honors a ghost, says the bartender. Patrons whisper names between sips of stout. By night's end, the room hums with memory, half celebration, half seance. It's less a pub than a cathedral with laughter. In Jordan's desert, a tent restaurant serves food buried underground for exactly 24 hours. The chef calls it the meal that remembers darkness. When uncovered, it smells of earth and smoke, like time itself cooking. Guests eat slowly, reverently, as if consuming history still warm from the sand. In Hungary, there's a cellar restaurant where guests must whisper their orders into ancient wine barrels. The echo determines what meal appears. Some say the barrels remember voices from centuries past. Occasionally, diners receive dishes no one ordered, recipes lost to time. Locals shrug, saying the cellar feeds those who still have stories left to tell. In a forgotten alley in Istanbul, a soup stall opens only when it rains. Customers wait under umbrellas for lightning to strike, the signal that broth is ready. The owner says thunder charges the flavor. Locals swear each bowl tastes different depending on the storm's mood. Eating there feels like swallowing weather. In a small town in Portugal, there's a bakery that won't sell bread unless you sing for it. Any song works: hymn, lullaby, pop. The baker listens, nods, and decides your loaf's size by sincerity, not skill. Children get the biggest loaves. Businessmen often leave hungry. The rule: bread for hearts, not wallets. In a Chilean mountain tavern, every meal begins with a deep breath. The chef makes guests inhale volcanic ash dusted on candles. So your lungs remember the fire that feeds you, he says. Some cough, others feel lightheaded, but the food afterward tastes vividly alive, like smoke turned into nourishment. In Mongolia's open steppe, a nomadic cook forbids sitting while eating. "The earth must see your gratitude," he says. Diners stand beneath the sky, holding meat with bare hands, wind tearing at their hair. Every bite feels primal. The cook calls it sky dining, half ritual, half rebellion against comfort. In a hidden restaurant beneath Rome, patrons eat in complete darkness except for one glowing plate per table. The light comes from bioluminescent algae cultivated by the chef. Living light, he calls it. The eerie blue glow reflects on faces mid-bite. Some swear they can see their own heartbeat in the shimmer. In a Nepalese cliff cafe, no spoons or bowls are used. Every meal must be cupped in your hands. The cook says utensils separate you from the mountain's gift. Rice burns fingertips, but the pain deepens taste. Tourists call it madness. Locals call it remembering what hunger feels like. In Poland, a family-run tavern only serves guests who bring a photograph of someone they've lost. The photo is placed on the table, facing the meal. "Eat for two," says the grandmother who owns it. People cry, laugh, and whisper memories to empty chairs. Every dish is both offering and closure. In a Filipino island eatery, all dishes are served backwards. The dessert first, the appetizer last. "We begin with joy," says the owner, "and end with humility." The final course is plain rice, eaten in silence. It feels like time folding in reverse, sweet fading into simplicity, reminding guests that satisfaction is temporary. In Canada's Yukon wilderness, there's a log cabin restaurant where the first person to arrive must ring a huge bell. Only then does the fire ignite, and everyone eats together. The rule: no flame without company. Meals taste of smoke, snow, and gratitude. When the bell rings again at night's end, the silence outside feels holy.